Good morning. I'm here in my workshop again, and you can hear my daughter's cat down there meowing. And this is something that my grandfather had in his workshop. It's been hanging there for a long time. He was an airplane mechanic way back in World War II, and this was called a turbo impeller unit. Now, that's a long name, but the airplanes back then were driven by piston engines, much like your car. And when they got to high altitudes where there was less air, they needed more air sucked in to the engine itself. And the engineers very cleverly figured out a way to use the exhaust to drive this machine to pull more air into the engine, more than it would have gotten otherwise. And without it, they couldn't go very far, very high up, and they couldn't do their job. And the higher they went, the more they needed that boost because the air got thinner the higher up you went. Now, engineers had known about the ability and the need for engines to have air at higher altitudes. But then they started figuring out, what if we just added it to cars and everyday use? And now, today, you can buy a car with a turbocharger, a little different than that one. It is 80 years old by now, that will cram more air into the engine because the fact is that it can handle it and it can give you more power in a smaller package. It can take that air and squeeze it in so that you actually get higher performance. Now, what's the downside? Well, there are a few because in every system there's a give and take. But the reality is that your engine in your car is made to work at a higher level if you have the right equipment. Just like my grandfather's engines that he worked on in the airplanes way back when. Well, you're the same way, aren't you? The reality is that the test calls forth, when you're going for licensure, it asks a lot of you. It asks that you marshal many facts and a lot of the decision making skills that you didn't think you'd be able to do on a normal basis. And yet, the better you prepare, the more you find that you were capable of working at a higher level than you would have guessed. You were able to turbocharge your work. You're able to use the resources that you have at hand to do, well, more than you thought possible. Now, can you do it forever? Well, no one would want to prepare for the test forever. But the reality is that you are capable of many great things. Passing the test is only one of them. But you'll find that the more you utilize the resources you have, the better able you are to, well, for a better term, turbocharge your work and make it work for you at a higher level. It's in there.